welcome to another edition of That's 30 podcast show with Bill Byham and John Green. I'm John Green.
And I'm Bill Byham. Welcome to our podcast show for today.
Good afternoon, Bill. We're over at Little League International headquarters on Route 15 in South Williamsport. How you doing today?
I'm doing really good, John, and thank you very much for making sure that I got here today, right?
I like picking you up, Bill.
Yes, you do. We're gonna talk today a little bit about with Lance Van Auken about a couple of things that have hit Little League baseball that everybody's talking about. Number one, Lance, is the pitch count.
Sure. Yep, it's a big change for our program. One of the biggest changes we've had to the regulations in many, many years.
And could you just review, for example, let's just take what we're going to see here in August.
Well, at the World Series, people that are accustomed to going here will notice that all the pitchers are on a pitch count, which they have been throughout the playoffs this year, and actually they have been throughout their regular seasons. So it's something that they're all going to be accustomed to. The managers and coaches have been doing this for months, so it will be nothing new to them. And essentially, on the upper end, if a pitcher delivers 85 pitches, then they have to be removed from that game. And we do, if the 85 pitch limit is reached during an at bat, we're going to allow the pitcher to complete pitching to that batter before they're removed from the game. And the biggest difference there is previously it was, a few years ago it was 9 innings. You could pitch 9 innings in a game with no pitch limit, and a few years ago we changed it to 6 innings in a game, again with no pitch limit. So in a 9-inning game, an 11 or 12-year-old pitcher might have thrown in the past upwards of 250 pitches. We think that's just way more than what they should be throwing. And even in a 6-inning game, we've had pitchers out here throwing 140 pitches, and that's too many too. So we've been working with some pretty well-known experts for the last couple of years to determine what the right number is. And we've been working with our leagues. 2 years ago, we had about 50 leagues around the U.S. that volunteered to use a pitch count within their leagues. And then last year, we opened it up to everybody, and about 500 leagues signed up for that. That allowed us to kind of tweak it a little bit as we went along to get it to the point where we are today, where all the leagues worldwide in baseball, not in softball, in baseball, are on a pitch count. And to date, it's been extremely well received. We've had actually far fewer complaints than we sort of expected, because usually when you do something like that, the people that are the most vocal are going to be the ones that are the most upset about it. But we've had very few of those, and we've had a lot of compliments. So we think it's worked out well.
He just ate up about 3 of my questions, John.
Well, you have to think of 3 more now. I thought of one.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Some of the leagues around the country, and I don't know how prevalent this is, the players get into these other traveling teams and stuff like that, and that is a problem. Do you think Little League will influence those people, hopefully, to watch these pitch counts also and be more concerned about our young athletes' arms, because that's truly what you're concerned about?
That's absolutely correct. There's 2 people that or 2 constituents that we wanted to influence with this, specifically the other programs, the other the Babe Ruth and Dixie Youth and Pony programs out there, but also the travel teams, so-called elite teams, where they're not affiliated with any particular organization and they play unlimited amounts, and there's no pitching restrictions anyway. So we wanted to be able to let them know what the experts are saying is bad for kids, but also the parents of the players in those organizations to let them know, if they're pitching if they throw 85 pitches in a Little League game on a Thursday night, and then on the weekend they're going to go into a travel ball tournament, they shouldn't be throwing another 120 pitches on Saturday and then another 120 pitches on Sunday. That's a great recipe for Tommy John surgery, and that's what we've seen more and more of in recent years. A real spike in very young pitchers needing Tommy John surgery as young as 8. It's just amazing that to imagine that kind of thing. It used to be, a pitcher would at 36, 37, 38 years old would need it, and now we're doing it on teenagers, young teenagers, and that's wrong. There's no excuse for it. It's because kids are throwing too many pitches, and I should point out that it hasn't been a problem within Little League itself. If pitchers are only pitching in Little League, we haven't seen them requiring these types of surgeries. So we really haven't seen that in Little League.
Yeah, because you go back and I know you've just been visited by a mutual guy that we know, Gary Yeagle, and his book on the Kentucky Ball Club and what he wants to do with it now and all that kind of stuff. But the point was, when I talked to him recently, was we would not have seen the classic era in Navy if it would have had a pitch count.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think if you the game you're referring to, I think was Aaron Alvey from Kentucky,
yeah. And the boy
from Texas.
Texas, yeah.
I don't recall his name.
Am I saying Walker Ray?
Walker Kelly. That's right.
Walker Kelly.
They had a pitcher's duel, 9 innings against each other in a game, and I don't recall how many pitches they threw, but it was probably getting up toward 150 to 200. You would never see that in Major League Baseball. A pitcher would, well, maybe 70 years ago you might have seen it, but not anymore. Pitchers in Major League Baseball, they get up around.
Is that good?
Yeah, 100. 100 in Major League Baseball is fairly rare nowadays too. And you're talking about professionals, and we're talking about kids. And another benefit of the pitch count program that we have now is that it forces leagues to develop more pitchers. And in the research we've done, kids want to pitch. They want to have the opportunity to pitch. And until they have that opportunity, they don't know how good they could be. And I saw an interview with, and this is softball, but it still pertains to this. A pitcher in professional softball now by the name of Kat Osterman. People in softball will recognize her name. One of the top 3 or 4 pitchers in the whole world right now. And in the interview, they said, "How did you get started pitching?" She said, "Well, I played Little League in Texas growing up, and Little League has rules that say you can only pitch so much. And our team ran out of pitchers, and the coach, she had never pitched before in her life, and the coach said, 'You want to give it a try? We're out of pitchers.' So she got up there, and it turns out she's pretty good, So we think the same kind of thing is happening with baseball players. Everybody wants to get a chance to shine, and this gives more kids a chance to shine.
I understand now that when people come to the World Series, the pitch count will be kept on the scoreboards, both stadiums.
Yeah, at the end of each inning, we'll post the current number of pitches or each half inning, I should say, for the pitcher of record at that point. We'll also post it when a pitcher's removed from the game, and we'll, of course, let the media know what the pitch count is. So.
Let me float something here. Looking at Major League Baseball and how you get the middle relievers and the closers and stuff like that. Maybe in the long run, this is such a great idea from Little League. So now you're developing a team that has more pitchers that you can get starters, and maybe teams will save their good pitchers as closers.
Sure.
And you might start seeing starting pitchers, middle relievers, and closers.
Right.
That is even close to what Major League Baseball is.
And I think it adds a little more strategy to the game too, because people in baseball know that sometimes the second time around when you see a pitcher, you maybe have a better chance of hitting the ball. So a smart manager in Little League might have a pitcher go 2 innings, 2 innings, 2 innings, and maybe the guy that's in the middle is the one that throws a lot of off-speed stuff, and then they come back with the someone that can throw fastballs. So it does add a lot more elements to the game, and allows a league and a manager to find someone who fits that sort of specialty niche, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've already alluded to it, but let me go back and rehash it a little bit. From out of the field of Little League Baseball, you're hearing good things.
Yes, very good things. Some of the and that was the best thing about trying it out with the 50 leagues back in 2005 and the 500 leagues last year. We went back to all of them. We said, we gave them the rules, but then we said, how did you best implement it? We wanted to know from them what they did in a league-by-league basis, who actually counted the pitches, what was the mechanism for doing it, did you have a little counter, did you use a computer, did you just have a piece of paper, and they gave us all those answers, and we actually came up with a publication on the pitch count. I think it's 16 pages or something like that, that gave people all those tips, so that each league wasn't trying to sort of reinvent the wheel, so that they had all those tips available, and they could, the leagues that have the means to do things by computer could do it their way, and the ones that just did it on paper could do it their way.
So that's what I was curious about, what the field was saying, because the field could have said, we don't want to do this.
Absolutely.
Would that have changed anything?
Well, I don't know. I think we always have to sort of respond to our constituents' needs, and that was a big question for us, whether or not they would be able to take this and do it. And I'm something of a Little League historian. Back in the 1950s, the pitching distance used to be 40 feet in Little League.
Right.
And Dr. Hale came in here in 1955. Dr. Creighton Hale, he was doing research, and through his research, he found out that it would be more advantageous in Little League to move the pitcher's mound back to 46 feet. And the question then was, would they be able to get all those thousands of leagues to do it? So Little League went to them and said, this is important, this needs to happen, and they did it. In the stories I've read, that Little League was a little surprised that they took to it so well, and I think we were a little surprised this time that our leagues took to it so well, but perhaps we shouldn't have been, because the volunteers, the vast majority of them do what's best for the children in their local league, and that's what we want them to do.
From the banks of the Susquehanna River and the home of Little League Baseball, welcome to Williamsport Online's podcast show, featuring sports and information from Williamsport, North Central Pennsylvania, and beyond.